Hello and welcome to your Snack Sandwich. Today we're taking a look at DOPEX. Now, I did take a look at DOPEX a little while ago, like 5 months ago when it first came out or when it was first starting to come out or something. It was live at that time, but there wasn't a whole lot there. I explained it kind of, but I'm going to take a deeper, much more like thorough look at it. And there's a lot to cover now. There's a lot of new things. They have these version 2 of the rDPX. They have these TZWAP or TZWAP. They have these OTC platform. They have these what are these? These rate options. Okay, these interest rate options. And so I'm going to go through this as best I can with a flowchart and explain all these different things in a single flowchart. It's going to be kind of, I thought about doing it in separate videos, but I figured, I'm going to just put this all in one big video and you guys can watch it as you please. You can jump around and so forth and all that. I'm not going to go through the UI. You can try to come and figure out how to add positions and buy options and trade options and interact with the different things that I'm going to talk about. Now, this version 2, rDPX, I will talk about this a lot, but I don't quite think it's live. I'm not able to find any of the things I talk about that they talk about here and that I will talk about in the flowchart inside that inside the DApp here. So maybe it's going to be soon. And then I also have VE coming soon, which I'm not going to talk about today just because it's too much. Okay, so let's go over to the flowchart and let's go through each of these different features that they now have. Okay, so here we have dollar bill, and dollar bill is a savvy, sophisticated options participant, I'll call him. So what does he want to do? He just wants to make some money, right? So what does he do? He comes to the DOPEX and he decides to supply his ETH to call options or supply his Curve 2 pool tokens. So inside the Curve 2 pool tokens, there is DAI and USDC. And he basically puts these inside here to cover put options. And he gets back an ERC720 NFT. So he gets back this NFT that represents his position. Okay. Now there's some other features that were not live when I first made that first video, and that is like the flexible expiration. So now these vaults can have different kinds of vaults with different kinds of expirations, like 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year. They can make all these different vaults. Okay. They have flexi deposit, which means there's no longer a window of when you have to deposit and then you're locked out for a little while, like before. Now you can just come and deposit at any time and you will start making money based on the from the time you've deposited and so forth. They have some NFTs. So like these NFTs are these ERC20. They give you back an NFT now to represent your position. And then they have this spooky boost thing where if you have this Halloween NFT collection that they made before, then you can get some boosts on your yield from depositing in here. So when you put your assets into one of these two things, these vaults, then you have to choose a variable strike. So they have a bunch of strike prices that you can choose from, and you choose one of them for yours based on the vault that you have chosen. The vault decides the time zone, and then within the vault you can choose the different strike prices for your position or your covered call or your covered put. Okay, so along comes Boosted Bill. Boosted Bill is a degen. He wants to speculate on some prices, or he wants to hedge himself, or he wants to do something a little more sophisticated than just supply money and make money. So he's got some strategy that needs him to buy some call options or some put options. So what he would do is then he would have to come with these assets as well. So I'm going to use Ethereum. I'm going to use the call options for most of the explanation, but understand that everything I say could also be done with the put options, right? So he would then deposit a premium. He would pay a premium to purchase an option on Ethereum, right? And he would then get also an ERC20 NFT that says, oh, you pay the premium and you now own the right to an option, a call option, or in the case of the 2 pool, a put option, right? So now, because he has this NFT, it's now a liquid token in the sense that he could then take that to this first feature, this other new feature that they have in this OTC market. So he can list it on this OTC market, and then some whale can come along and say, oh, I want this. And he can chat with him and they can negotiate a price. They set on the price, and then one of them will escrow some token. Either, he would either escrow the NFT, or he would escrow the ETH, and then the other person would put the other asset in and it would get transferred to him and he would get his ETH. So it's an OTC market for these NFTs, both this NFT and these NFTs here, and other NFTs that are just happen to be whitelisted. So it's an NFT market to trade, specifically designed to trade these options, both the covered calls, the covered puts, and then the actual purchased options. Now, the other thing that this person could do is he could also ask. He could put up an offer and say, I want to buy one of these options. Somebody please sell it to me, because maybe he needs one and there's not any available like this. All of these options there's not enough covering, so there's not enough value in here for him to purchase his own, so he could then ask in this market for someone to sell him theirs. Okay, so that's this OTC market. Now, let's say some time goes by before the end of the strike price. So let's say this was a 1 month or a 1 week line. So before the end of the time, the price of that asset goes into, in this case Ethereum, goes into the money, they say. So it goes beyond the strike price that dollar bill has set. Then this option that he has purchased will be exercisable. Okay, and when he exercises it, he will be able to get the profit. It will automatically instantly exercise, and then later he can come and claim it. He doesn't have to exercise it himself. It will just be exercised and waiting for him to come and claim his rewards, because he's already paid the premium, and now he gets the in the money the portion of it, right? Now, this is what set DOPEX apart, was they had this rDPX token, which is called a rebate DPX token. Because he lost money, they wanted to reward him. They wanted to give him some tokens. So they give him these rDPX. Now, they've changed this quite a bit, but the way it's currently on the site is you can then take these rDPX tokens, you can pair them with ETH, and then you can put them in a liquidity pool, and then put the liquidity pool in a farm and farm DPX tokens, which are the governance token. These are the tokens that are getting VE-DPX. Okay, like you can then take these and stake them for VE tokens in the future. It's not quite live yet, but that's basically the governance token of this protocol. Okay, now, what they've decided to do was like, let's give this thing some use beyond just being a farm token to farm this DPX. So instead of just being able to farm, now they're going to, they looked out into DeFi and they found, Olympus bonds and these bonds, and they're like, let's design something with bonds to use these. So they've come up with something quite clever. Okay, so dollar bill will take his rDPX, his rebate tokens, and he will pair it with the stablecoin. So I'm going to just use Tupool here. I'm not sure what it is now or what it will be in the future, but I think it will be our Tupool tokens. So he will pair it with Tupool tokens. So it's like whenever you pair things, you usually pair them 50-50, right? So he's going to pair them 50-50 because this is not a stable asset. This is not an asset that's always worth $1, so it has to be paired with some sort of stable coin, okay? I'm just going to use Tupool tokens for the hell of it, but I don't know exactly what they're going to pair it with, right? So $10 of this are these rebate tokens and $10 of stable coins, and they make this LP, okay? And then they will also have to make a bunch of stablecoin ones. So they will have to also make $20 of stablecoin LPs or $20 of put options, which are basically, stablecoin LPs, because you see whenever they interact with these put options, they use these curve Tupool tokens. So it's basically the same thing as curve Tupool tokens. So let's reiterate here. So we have $10 of rebate, $10 of stablecoins, and $20 of stablecoins. So we have in total 25% rebate tokens and 75% stable coins. And then you would take all of these tokens, right? And you would bond them. Okay, so you put them into the bonding mechanism. Okay, and then the bonder would then talk to the supply, the reserve supply of rebate tokens, and say, hey, listen, they just gave me $40 of value. So I want you to take $40 of value plus some discount, because there's got to, you know, when you get a bond, you need to get a discount, right? So this discount, I don't know how the math is working on this, but consider it like obviously like based on need, like this is something they can adjust, right? So they would take the $40 plus some discount, and then they would take that value of these tokens out of the reserve and burn them. Okay, so I'm going to use 5%, which is $42, right? So they're decreasing or making this token inflationary. Now you got to remember, this token doesn't come out all the time. Okay, it's not, you know, every single dollar that's put in here is just burning out these rebate tokens. It's only when it goes into the money, right, that these get minted or get distributed to the people who lost some money. And then there's only $10 worth of it going into this bond, with $30 worth of stable coins, and they're going to burn $42 worth of these reserve tokens. So they're going to just take them out of circulation. Now, again, keep in mind, these are bonds. These are now protocol owned liquidity. So the DOPEX now owns this liquidity and owns this liquidity because it's a bond. Now, when someone makes a bond, they want something in return. So what do they get in return? $42 of DOPEX US dollar stablecoin. So the protocol will just mint them $42 worth of stablecoins, and it will divest to them or like come out or vest to them over 5 days. So after 5 days, they will be able to claim the full $42 and use that $42 as they please. Now, what can they do with these stable coins? Is one, that they can put them into an LP where on Curve, of course, right, versus maybe two pool again. So they would pair them up with this, and then what would they get? So obviously they would then have to take this LP and probably stake it somewhere inside DOPEX into a farm, and then they would get the gauge rewards if there happen to be any like Curve rewards on this LP. The protocol also owns like some Curve, and maybe they have VE Curve, they have staked it for VE, and they're getting some, you know, some revenue from these CRV rewards, right? So they're able to then take those CRV rewards, like it's usually two pool, the trading fees from the Curve gives to the VE token holders. So they probably have this, I think. So basically, it doesn't say VE token holders, but in the document it says something more along the lines of like revenue from Curve or CRV revenue. So I believe that this is the case. What they're talking about is that they've taken their CRV, VE'd it, and they're getting trading fees from Curve for those VEs. And then also these put options. These are put options, and they could make money because the premium's getting paid to people who are exercising these rebate put options. And keep in mind that these are not ETH put options. These are rebate token put options, right? Now, so people who are exercising these or paying premiums for these put options, that premium will be given to these guys who've staked this in the farm. Alternatively, they can then take these and bond them for 7 days, and then all of these rewards will be collected on behalf of them, and they will get that as a reward in more stable coins. Okay, so if they don't want these different kinds of tokens or stuff, they can just give it, and they can then, you know, get that back. Okay. Now that's pretty much covers it. There is some talk in the V2 about having, like, let's say you only have a little bit of our rebate tokens, and you don't have all of these stable coins, so you don't have this ability to actually use your rebate tokens. They talk about having like an assistant or delegating your rebate tokens. So basically you would put your rebate tokens into a contract, and some whale would come along with his stable coins and do this function for you, and then you would get what he doesn't get, basically his share. You would get basically the value of these tokens basically for you, so they don't actually have to be sold. You can get the value of them through this and so forth, and you don't have to worry about slippage and selling and trading fees and stuff like that. Okay, now the next feature of this protocol is here. Now this is a whale. This has nothing to do with this stuff up here, but here's a whale. He's got a whole bunch of ETH, because that's he does. He plays ETH. He plays all of these games, and he's got a whole bunch of ETH. And he wants to buy the Caesar token because he hears the Caesar token is gonna moon soon, right? So if he wants to buy a whole bunch of it, what's gonna happen is this price is quickly gonna moon, right? And then people are gonna notice that, and then they're gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna get in here too. And then he won't be able to accumulate a big position because of that, because he can't buy like $2 million worth of Caesars tokens, because the circulating supply is only 200,000. So how's he going to buy that? He will move the price so great, his price impact and slippage will be so huge, right? So instead, he will initiate a transaction, which he can cancel at any time. But so say $1 million worth of Ether in here, and then as time progresses, it will just buy these tokens for him over a period of time. So he will be able to accumulate them without having such a big impact on the price and being so noticeable. Of course, it will still be noticeable. Like, you can still see these transactions because they are on chain and so forth. However, it will be it will be much less noticeable. Okay, because there are going to be many small ones instead of one big one and one big one. Okay. Now, the last feature that I was able to read about was these things called these curve APY call or put options. So they're not called that, but that's what I'm calling them. And basically, they're bets on the APY, the future APY of some LP token. So maybe this LP token or any LP token, right? So it's a completely different product from a call and put ETH option, but it's a bet. It's a call or put on the APY of some curve pool in the future. Okay, so they have lists. I think it's the meme pool right now. So why would somebody want to bet on the future curve pool APY, right? Why would somebody want to buy a call or buy a put? And here are the main reasons. One is they want to hedge against the low APY. So let's say the APY generally ranges between 2 and 7, right? And he's happy if he gets 4. So then he can buy some puts, right? And if it's below his strike price of I think 4, then he will. Then if it goes below that, then he gets the put. He gets paid out from the put because it's a bet that the price the price of the value, the number associated with something will go below something. So he can hedge his low APY. So let's say he's actively participating in that pool with his own liquidity, and he's worried that the APY is going to go down. So then he can buy these puts. And if the APY does go down below some strike price, then he will get paid out. So it's kind of a way to hedge some of his low APY risk, right? Another thing is people can just speculate on these APYs, so they don't need to be participating in the pool. They can just be like, oh, I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen. And they can just buy puts or calls or puts, right? And then the last thing is to strategize. Now, basically, let's say he's a huge CRV whale. He has a whole bunch of voting power, and he's always voting on this pool. So he knows that he has maybe a 2% effect on the APY of that specific pool. So what he can do then is but he's participating in that pool, right? So what he can do is, instead of voting on that pool this time, is he can buy some calls or puts, and then he can vote on a different pool and get those bribes, but still be able to exercise his put or call option because, well, it's usually a put, right? Because then, he knows, he has made the effect. He gets his bribe from voting on a different pool, and then he also knows that he's going to have this effect. So it's kind of almost like cheating, but it also works, right? And it's a game. So there's people like Dollar Bill. If he wants to supply his capital to this vault, he has to try to predict what this guy might do. You know what I mean? How is this guy going jack me and put my put covered puts into the money and so forth. Anyhow, this is a lot of stuff to try to wrap your mind around, and I do recommend you to go and read these. And I had to read some of them, I wouldn't say 2 times, but I had to read this one very carefully, especially this version 2 rDPX, these rebate tokens. I had to read this pretty carefully. So if you didn't understand this, maybe watch it again, or come and read these, or go and ask some questions in the Discord and so forth. It's pretty interesting stuff and big brain juicy stuff. Okay, so that's why I'm covering it. Thank you. I hope this has been useful, and thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.